Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. I'm Mike Miley, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is my friend and my partner, Blaine Birch, the CEO of Dry Run, the best cash flow forecasting software on the planet. What's up, man?
You know, we're on episode 231. We've had that jingle for for sure, over 200 episodes. And I know other podcasts don't have the super long jingle at the start. I do not get sick of it. I just sing along. I think it's hilarious. And it's funny because for those of you out there that think we have some kind of AI jingle, that's a person. This is pre-AI jingle making. And it's really fun.
Yeah, that thing's been around. And I still sing it around. I told Mallory yesterday, I said, I bet you go to school and sing that jingle, right? Because it's catchy. It's cool. I said, then your friends have a jingle. I have a jingle.
Exactly. That's what we should be selling that on vinyl. Mike and Blaine vinyl jingle. Classic.
Hey, by the way, that's what makes us main characters.
Actually, this is a good idea. Tell people what we're going to be talking about today, because usually we wait too long. We should be introducing. We got a great topic for today. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to get into today.
Dude, Mallory's running through the house saying, "Oh, that guy's got main character energy." I'm like, going, "What the hell does that mean?" I'm like, "What does that mean?" I'm a main character energy. And I'm like, going, "Well, I think I do, right?" So ever since she said that, it's been in my brain, and now I think we're in a simulation where everybody else is not a main character. I'm the main character, and everybody else is an NPC, a non-playable character. Right? So I thought we can move this into, what's happening on the internet, how everybody thinks that they're a main character, and what businesses can do about it.
Yeah. And why it's, where it's good, when it's good, I guess to some degree, but also where it can really hurt you and hurt your business if you're got this main character syndrome. Before we get into talking about the main characters, we do actually have 3 main characters that buy us beer every week. And before we jump into that, I got to say, please like, subscribe, follow. If you're watching the show right now, just please click like. The algorithms love that. And also, we got some beer sponsors, and we're just about to introduce them. But if you want to be a sponsor, go to mikeandblaine.com. $5 an episode, and we will talk about you like we're just about to introduce our 3 beer sponsors. So before we do that, though, what are you drinking today?
You know what? Neighbor Pat, one of our beer sponsors, brought down beer. And usually he brings down his own bottled beer. And I'm like, oh, what did he bring? Because I saw 2 bottles. But he didn't. He brought down somebody else's beer. But he brought down Real Ales, Brew House Brown Ale. So I'm pretty excited about this. I always like a brown ale. And Real Ale is a Texas brewery that I really like almost everything they do. So I'm excited to dive into that. So Neighbor Pat, the worst cornhole player in the world. Now, he's not the worst. I think he's lost the most, though. I think he loses more than anybody else.
I think technically that is the worst. It's right, Pat. It's like statistically.
So Mallory and Lorelei, they're in high school together, and Warrior Fest is coming up. So Warrior Fest is a thing for the high school. It's a Piper High School Warriors is their name. So they're having like a country concert with this guy named Wade Bowen, raising money. The athletic club raises money for all this type of stuff, and they're having a cornhole tournament. And Pat goes, "We should get in it." I'm like, "Yeah, what is it?" So it's $50 to get in. And by the time I went to push, this is how popular the sport is. I went to push, buy ticket or enter the tournament, sold out. We couldn't even get in. Right. So by the time we saw that it was a tournament, that we could have been a team together where he could have had a couple wins under his belt. No, and we couldn't even get in because it was sold out.
Oh man, well that's a big deal down there. That's probably just ahead of football.
No, it's like a concurrent thing to football. Like you're watching football while you're playing cornhole.
while you're playing cornhole and drinking beer. It's the
and drinking
trifecta
beer.
right
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you've ever seen the cartoon King of the Hill, that's exactly what this neighborhood is, right? It's just a bunch of guys around drinking beer, just talking about just normal stuff.
Mowing their lawn and what kind of mower they have. And that was a good show. I enjoyed King of the Hill. I watched like every episode.
Yeah, what you got?
Okay, well, I don't have a neighbor Pat to bring me interesting beer. And because we're kind of cleaning our fridge out by drinking all of our beer, what I have left is yet again, after I don't know how many weeks, and probably next week too, Guinness. That's pretty much all I have left in my fridge right now. And so it's another Guinness, except this one at least doesn't have the Christmas decorations on the side. So
you can spend $10 and go get you another beer for the episode. You don't got to do Guinness every single time.
I know, but I bought a lot of Guinness. I have a bunch in the fridge, and then I also have a few barrel aged stouts that are like north of 10%. I'm like, that's in next year territory. It's hot down here, and I'm like, I ain't cracking one of those. So maybe next week, if I have time, I'll grab something different.
Did you see the reel I sent you about the comedian that was talking about Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Chiefs?
Yeah, I did. I didn't catch all of it, but it was all I did catch how much Coors Light he drank, and it was like,
yeah, like a crazy amount. The whatever comedy club they were out, that says, "Hey, listen, if he's going to stick around for the second show, we have to go to the store and get more Coors Light." So he drank us out of Coors Light. I was proud of him. I was proud of him.
That's an epic amount of Coors Light. That is probably not the healthiest choice there, Pat. Mahomes, I'm talking about Mahomes. Probably not the healthiest choice to have like a dozen Coors Light per comedic show. But
I'm sure that the guy was exaggerating, because he goes, I don't know, he drank like 10 during the first show, and then he drank like 13 or 14 during the second show, and then he wanted to go out and party, and they took him, they went to another party after that.
Oh man, I would just feel sick just from even that amount of liquid. I didn't drink that much.
That's fine. All right, so hey, speaking of other main characters in our play, Karen Harrison up in Michigan, she is one of our main characters. She is a best-selling Amazon author, and she wrote a book called Stop Growing Broke, Start Growing Profits. And if you need help in your business, finding hidden cash, putting it back in your pocket, and you live or just want to work with somebody in Michigan or anywhere she does, I guess Zoom works anywhere, go contact Karen Harrison at the 3S Smart Consulting.
Yeah, thanks again, Karen. And Devin, the biggest LSU fan on the planet. Devin just keeps supporting us over and over again, and we thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Devin. And also got to always mention he's the Netflix star featured in a couple frames of a Netflix
main character in that part of the Netflix show. He was the main character in that part.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks again, Devin. Appreciate it.
That's funny. All right, so this thing is funny to me, this main character energy, and really what they're talking about is just like, the way, and it depends on how you look at it, I guess. First, if you look at it from your perspective, you're the main character, right? You're the one that's telling the story. Or is it somebody else seeing you and going, man, that guy's got main character energy? Like you're part of something that other people respond to. So there's a couple of different ways we can break this down. Which way, when I said that as a topic, which way did you go with it?
I guess I actually think that I find it interesting, the two sides of the coin, where you picture yourself as the main character and other people see you as the main character. And see, interestingly, I know we're on this show all the time, but I never seem to, I never feel like, even on this show, I don't feel like I'm the main character. I think like you're the main character. I tend to, outside of this show and some of the stuff we do on podcasting, I tend to be the type that likes to be a little bit under the radar. Like I just, sleeper car, clothes with no logos, things. I just like to be, now I like to be the leader of things, but not the loud or the center of attention. but I do like to take the lead on things. But I don't think that leading isn't the same as being the main character. I don't think so. So I found it interesting because I don't think anyone would view me as the main character, or that I would think of myself that way in a way.
I don't know. Only one of us has a clip where they were the main character in it that has 1.3 million views on it. That kind of makes
Yeah,
one of us a main character.
that just pissed off a lot of people somehow. That started an argument with a very benign comment, actually. But I don't think I was even the main character of that. It's just it was a topic that seemed to rub people the wrong way. No one, I can tell, because it's not like we had a giant spike in followers after that. It's not like people like, oh, we got to follow this guy or these two guys or whatever. No, it just, for whatever reason, the topic and that lit a fire under a bunch of people. And we still kind of get some followers on, like, we're on so many different channels and networks. We just get some here and there, and it just keeps, the water level keeps rising. But it was amazing how little impact that actually had. Like, well over 1 million views on a single post, and didn't actually do a whole lot.
We still get something about every week on it. Now it's not climbing crazy like it did, but we still get something every week. And I've probably gotten 100, maybe 100 new followers out of the deal.
Okay, well, that's
I
something.
think 0 new revenue.
Yeah, that's the trick.
So there's that trade off. Like going, I want people to like me, I guess.
We're not overloaded with beer sponsors coming out of that that episode for whatever reason, right?
Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I started thinking about, and that's why the hashtag main character syndrome kind of stuck with me, because I feel like now everybody that has a phone or a camera or an Instagram or a Facebook, everybody has a medium to tell their own story, and they are the main character all day long. I don't care how mundane their job is or how boring their food is. They're going to tell us about it. Creating a main character for their own story. And I think that's where that comes from.
Yeah. Is that starting to polarize?
Yeah, it is.
Because I find that
people are starting getting pissed at it. Like, I don't like, who cares about that? Yeah.
Well, and more so than that, like years ago, I've never been one that posted that much. And I know that a number of posts that I post are now, outside of the business stuff that automatically piles online, or the Mike and Blaine show stuff, personal stuff that I would post is down to almost zero. Like it's actually I just don't tell people where I'm eating and where I'm at, the only stuff is every once in a while I'll take a cool picture, or a picture that I like, and I'll post it to Instagram, and it's actually more for me. And I think it auto posts to Facebook, and because my wife says, "Hey, put it up Facebook so I can tag it and I can remember it next year." But it's almost more for us than it is for other people. And I kind of don't feel as comfortable with people seeing all my stuff somehow.
Well, I think you could make some stuff private, right?
Oh, I'm not bothering with that. I just don't put it up there because I don't need to, right? I got my own photo library.
But yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes I'll take pictures of what I did just so I remember I did it. Because one of my favorite parts of, we'll say, Facebook is memories. On this day last year, you were doing this, or 8 years ago, you were doing that. I actually like that. I'm like, yeah, that was a good time. That was fun. Hey, remember this? And it sparks a conversation here in the house. And I actually like that part of Facebook. So, I mean, I don't mind doing that.
Yeah, I think that's why I post as more as a bit of a record and a timeline, even though I got all my photos in my photo app and everything. But I bet you I post 100th of the time, maybe not. Yeah, probably. Like it's so rare that I'll actually just post something. And I never was a big poster. But on the other side, I think there are people that it's increased and it becomes part of their life, and it's just this constant flow. Like it's like, what do you guys do all day outside of posting stuff, right?
Dude, that becomes their job. I mean, everything is filmed, everything is narrated. It's got background music. It's got, craziness across it sometimes, words and captions and those type of things. And
Yeah.
then it's posted. I'm like going, there's an incredible amount of time that goes into that. And if it's not anything I'm interested in, I'm like going, who cares?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, like going when somebody accidentally gets filmed and they argue, kind of interested in that. Like going, okay, now that you're filming all regular basic life, what you made for dinner isn't important, but that person that said fuck off as they walked by, that was kind of important. I saw that today on the news. They were in the newscaster was in line and somebody from Europe. I mean, I can't remember if it was like from England or from, I don't know, Ireland. I mean, it had a foreign accent. I really wasn't paying attention because it was just a random, like, what's it like to wait in line for 6 hours? Well, dude, everybody knows that sucks, right? I don't like to wait in line for 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
you tell me it's a 4-hour line at the airport, I'm mad. So Fox News is actually, trying to, get their opinions. And this guy at the end of it says, hey, can I say something real quick? And she goes, yeah. And she holds the microphone and he tries to grab the microphone. And she goes, no. You're not taking the microphone from me, the person on Fox. And as she pulls the microphone back, he just flips her off. Like right on the news. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. I'm like, that was more important than the whole thing. I say, you want to know how somebody feels of sitting in line for 4 hours? Right there, flip off the news.
Right there. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly how they feel. And I kind of like going, that was the best news I saw all day.
Yeah. We were at this Red Bull event in downtown Phoenix last weekend, a couple weeks ago, I think. And oh man, I bet there's 150,000 people slammed on the street to watch this. It was ridiculous. It was probably, like, as I've probably told you before, it was probably a massive hazard, actually, probably not the best idea. But what was kind of neat, but also quite hilarious, is this F1 car fires up and then starts ripping down the street. And the second is just like, vroom, and this Red Bull comes screaming around the corner. And then you see like 80,000 arms go up with the phone in their hand like this. And everyone goes, everybody films it. And I was doing it too, because I wanted to look at it after and go, oh yeah, because that's, I don't take very many clips, but I like to look back on them. And that was one where it's like, you get to see it and go, oh yeah, it jogs the memories. We went to a rodeo a couple weeks ago, watched the bull riders, and that got a few clips of that same thing. I don't post very much. I did post one picture of that because it was just a neat picture. But I'm out of the rhythm, and I don't find the posting part interesting, but I still film and take photos of a lot of stuff that I'll probably never look at ever again.
Yeah, but the energy's never the same when you go back and rewatch it. It's not the same energy. I mean, I took the girls to the Indy 500. Brett my oldest daughter just mentioned it. She goes, oh my God, I remember you took us to the Indy 500. Well, we sat on turn 4, but if you know anything about racing, which I know you do, you sit a little higher so you can see more.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that it's not cool to go down there and stand against the fence for a brief second.
Yeah. It's something else. When you're, yeah.
God. I don't care how many videos I took of it. It did not match what I felt and what the kids felt. The girls were like, oh, holy shit, they were scared just of the noise, the wind, the speed, everything against the fence on that turn.
Yeah, it's because you hear it and you can actually feel it in your chest, and you kind of get pushed back, and it's like, oh, and it's like, it's hard to imagine how fast these cars are till you're right down there. No, it's never the same thing when I go to watch concerts. It's never the same. The audio is always awful. It's never the same, but I'll still take a few pictures and a few clips because it's the memory. And if I go back through our photos, I can go, oh yeah, that was when we went there. This is when we were there. Oh, it was this time of the year. I can watch it and it brings back the memories, but it's such a pale facsimile to what actually happened, that I don't spend a lot of time. Like I don't film very much of it. Like how we were at a IndyCar race, not the Indy 500, unfortunately, but IndyCar race earlier this month in Phoenix. And I probably have 2 pictures and maybe 5 like 10-second video clips out of the entire race. Cause I wanted one where I could go like, oh yeah, that was kind of neat. And I can kind of remember the race. So I think there's a balance there. Right. But, at the same time, we're at the Indy race and there's some people filming, but then there's people that would go get the race behind them and they would be filming themselves and talking and posting. And I'm like, they aren't watching a second of the race. They just want people to think they're at the race. Like it's such a weird, like, how do you go through life just wanting to tell people, where you're at. And then it's like, okay, you don't experience what you're actually there for.
Yeah. And nobody else does either, because you become the character in the play, not the play.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Hey, what's funny is you talked about the video and the audio when you go, oh, it doesn't sound the same. Remember when I came out to Scottsdale and we went over to the Nelly, Ludacris and all that, and I said, man, Nelly just didn't sound good. There was something different about the being live. Yeah. Courtney took some videos of Nelly on stage and all that, and we listened back to him. I'm going, well, it didn't sound like that. That sounds really good. It sounded better on video. And I don't know if they do that. I don't know if they do that where they've figured out that if it sounds bad on video, but they want it to live longer, that however it translates, they've got the volume set to where it sounds better on the recording than it does in live. Because I'm like going,
I have no idea.
It did not sound like that. And I'm telling you that it sounded way better, almost perfect on the video.
Really? I wonder if the phones, because the thing that I found, and I was kind of thinking my next phone, like I got the 16 something Pro or whatever, like it's a really recent phone. The video and the photographer, the photos and everything they're unbelievable. They're so well, like they're clear, they're beautiful. Sound is still not great. And like it's when you're at a show, if it's too loud, it blows out. If you're far enough back a little bit and you don't hit that level, all of a sudden it sounds really good. And I'm wondering if that's the space where some of the the phone manufacturers actually can have a competitive advantage for a short time, is you come out and say, we're going to have great audio, whether you're at a concert, at an event or whatever, it's going to sound like it did when you're there. Just like the picture, I would go out and upgrade my phone for that, because I just want to sound more like when we were there and what we experienced, instead of like, because sometimes it'll be the music will start out and it's like, oh, this sounds really good. And then it goes, ew. And it goes really quiet because it's just overloading the mic.
Yes. I wonder if it was just the opposite, where I would look like an idiot if I came to your house and go, dude, we just came from the Nelly concert and he sounded like shit. It was terrible. Look at this video. And I show you the video and it's perfect.
Yeah.
What?
Sounds pretty good. Maybe you should get your hearing checked, Michael.
I could just see that. I couldn't show that to anybody and say that anymore. I'm like going, damn, it sounded exactly the way it should have. I guess I didn't hear it right.
So when you're at the shows, do you wear earplugs now, or are you just
no? But I probably should, right? Because I gotta tell you, I mean, my time in the military. First of all, you probably can't see it on camera. I got really small ears, tiny ears, and here's what kind of happened to me in the military. With these tiny ears, they only gave you like one size of plugs back in, we'll say, the 80s, 90s, these little orange squishy things, and you put them in there. Yep. I could never keep them in there because my ears were so small, they'd always kind of pop out. Well, if you're on a firing range or you're in a grenade range or you're anywhere that there's loud stuff going on, it never really fully blocked. And I know that I have hearing loss and tinnitus. I mean, you know what tinnitus is? You know,
because I have it.
Dude, all the time. Yep. And the quieter it is, Courtney asks me all the time, she goes, why do you got TV on? Are you watching TV all day long, not working? I'm like going, no, I just have to have something on in the room, because when it's quiet, it's worse. Yeah. It's worse. Yeah. It's like, I don't know
I
what
have
is.
it. I don't. And sometimes it seems a lot worse than other times. I don't know why. It sort of comes and goes a little bit. But I know, yeah, too much loud music and too much, clay pigeons and everything when I was younger too. And without any hearing, when we were younger, no hearing protection. Bang, and then you could start to hear again and go, oh, that's fine. Stupid, stupid, stupid. So I know I'm going to get hit with that. But when we go to like the races, when we go to the concerts now, we have earplugs. But these ones, I don't know if they're great, but we have ones that they block the noise, but they block the the harshness, but you still, it's supposed to let the sound through and sound more natural. You know what we did when we went to the indie race though? We brought the Apple headphones, and then
The
you
noise,
squeeze them and you put on noise canceling, and then I tuned into the race feed.
Huh.
Oh my God, it's so much better. Cause then you actually, unfortunately it's 30 seconds behind, but you still were hearing the commentary and the feed and everything with what was happening. So
You see people doing that at football games and stuff like that all the time. They got their headphones on. I'm like, damn, that's really smart because they're hearing, what's happening in the replays. They're hearing all the commentary, all the
Yeah.
stuff that you most of the time you're just sitting there not knowing what's happening.
especially in a race, it's hard to keep, depends what kind of racing, but a lot of times it's hard to keep sort of track of, you're looking at the leaderboard, you're looking, and it's, you got lapped cars and everything. But it was kind of funny because I'm like, they got to figure out how to set the feed maybe through like the Wi-Fi network at the track. So it's almost immediate because it's going from the people in the booth, probably up to a satellite over somewhere else, all the way back and then into my ear. And so I would watch like a big pass. I'm like, holy God, that was awesome. Da, da, da. And then you're watching for a while. And then all of a sudden, 30 seconds later, there's like a half a lap later. Oh, you're talking about a pass. I'm like, yeah, man, like that was last minute snooze. It seems way like it doesn't seem like much till you're sitting there for 30 seconds watching more racing before someone says something, right? So but it was still nice. It was still nice to have.
That's funny. So here's something that happened to me. It's happened more than once about this main character thing because after I got to thinking about it, and then everybody's saying, well, we're in a simulation. My brain goes right to video game. I'm the character in this video game, right? If we're in a simulation, I'm this character. Well, does that make everybody else a non-playable character, right? And occasionally when I'm walking down the street, I'm like going, yeah, that's just a thing. It's like an obstacle. I don't want to look at people like that. And I think that there's a danger in thinking of others as non-playable characters rather than they're a main character.
They're a main character in their own story. Yeah. The guys on the radio the other day on I call it the radio. I was just streaming in the mornings, right? And one of the guys said, okay, if you're in the Matrix, like if someone approached you, would you take the red pill or the blue pill? So in other words, would you take the pill where you, just like in the Matrix, you wake up and you're literally like the battery for the computer, and you're in a little, pool and you're all hooked up, and now you got to find your way out and you're living in a world run by AI and all that? Or would you just like stay where you are, enjoy your life, and it's like, I'm fine with being a battery? That was an interesting question, I thought.
Yeah, well, first of all, you have to believe that you're the battery, right? That assumes that you already think of yourself as, I'm not what I am today. I'm something else. I want to know what that is.
Yeah, but would you? If someone said you're in a petri, like a big giant petri dish with a tube feeding you, and you're literally the battery to run a computer, would you want to see that true reality, or would you be like, yeah, it's pretty good, screw that, staying where I'm at?
I think it depends. Like right now, I'm like, yeah, I'm staying here.
That's probably what I would do. Like, what am I going to do? Like, wake up
Yeah.
in a dish and to try and make my way out of this? And like,
Yeah,
that sounds kind of shitty, actually.
that sounds worse. That sounds worse.
Yeah, yeah, way worse. So I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not in a petri dish. I can drink beer. I can talk shit on the radio or on the internet. this sounds way better than sitting in a bathtub of Petri.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was just like, yeah, no, I think I'd be pretty content actually. It
The
was an interesting question, right?
Yeah, basically says, do you wanna be what you are today, or do you wanna be a slave that's trying to escape?
Yeah. Well, I guess the question is if you technically now you're hooked up, you are basically a battery. If you wake up, you can unhook yourself and in reality leave and not be the battery. But, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
leave to what? Leave to what? I mean,
Exactly. Exactly. Like now there's nothing, there's no infrastructure. You're like,
I mean,
yeah.
and everybody that's not a battery that looks at you saying, "Wait a second, that's a battery." They gotta figure out how not to look like a battery.
Well, the only other people walking around were probably, well, they aren't walking around, they're in hiding from the machines and stuff. I don't know if you remember the Matrix, but interesting. Like it was an interesting question. It was just I thought it was a little bit fascinating because it's like it kind of goes counter to being, like you do want to be like, no, I'm gonna stick with be my own main character and stick where I'm at.
Alright, so think about this. That just reminded me, though, of, like, how businesses might look at others, right? So in my seminar that I do for the graduate school banking, right, I'll talk to bankers about, "Hey, what's your logo look like?" "Well, it's an oak tree. It's a big building. It's a shield. It's whatever." And I said, "What does that mean?" And a lot of times they're like, "Oh, we've been here a long time. We got strong roots in the community. We got, we're very strong. We protect you. We're, like Wells Fargo. We've been around a long time, right? I mean, those type of things. Always been there." Am I going, who's the main character in that? The bank is. Right? The bank is
Mhm.
not the customer. You're an NPC to the bank. You're just another blah,
Yeah.
just another number, as we say. And then
Mhm.
I look at like a bank called City National Bank. Right. And you probably heard me talk about them and their logo before, but their logo is a ladder and just a ladder going up. And they all wear it on their lapels. Every
Yeah.
banker at City National Bank wears it. And their slogan is, "We help you on the way up." I'm like going, damn. That means the bank is not the main character. They're trying to make you the main character in their story.
Mhm. Yeah.
What an interesting twist for businesses to look at. Are your customers a main character or are they an NPC?
Mhm. Well, it plays into that entire topic we've touched on a lot lately about authenticity
Yeah.
and how it's becoming more and more important to be authentic and be real because so much of the content and everything online is not authentic and it's not real. And I think it plays into all of that, but it's true. Like I think if you're a business or a brand and you start following the strategy of influencers and trying to be the main character saying, look how successful they are. Let's emulate that. I think you're right. It flies in the face of everything your customer actually really wants because what an influencer is delivering it's entertainment, right? And they're interested in the entertainment. But if you're providing services for your
Mm.
customers, which virtually every other, for business is doing, it makes more sense to say we're not the main character, you are. And I think that's a really insightful and interesting approach to branding to say we are now, okay, I gotta wonder though, is how much of the tree, let's say, is about training for the vision and the culture in the bank. Um, would the people that designed that and are head of marketing at some of these big banks, would the tree logo say, we are this big solid tree, or we will help you flourish and grow? And
Yeah.
then the banker is saying,
Yeah.
like that's how and it's interesting because people could also misread, even if you say that you think we're going to help you grow and thrive, they may read it completely wrong. And even the
Yeah.
latter, it might be like, I'm going to step on your head to get to the top, right? Like it might be misinterpreted, right?
Yeah. I'm going to climb over you
Mm.
to get there. Yeah, that's right. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, all right. So let me ask you this one because this happened to a friend, of mine recently. You've ever heard of Chewy? like the pet stuff you get. It's like a subscription based, like you get food and
I've
treats and
heard
stuff
the
like that.
name. Yeah, I've heard the name. I'm just not that familiar with it. No.
It, it comes to your house, right? It's an online pet store. It comes to your
Mhm.
house in kind of a nondescript box. It's like just a blue box that says Chewy on the side. And you don't know what's in it, pet toys or whatever that you get on your subscription. Well, my buddy canceled the subscription because the dog died. Think about that, right? I'm not going,
Mhm.
oh, don't have a dog anymore. It died. I think, and
Mhm.
I can't verify this because I've never seen the form, but I think he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna cancel the subscription. Why'd I cancel it?" I think one of the choices is, "Hey, my pet passed," or whatever it was.
Mhm.
He got condolences, a letter from them in the mail about, "Hey, sorry for your loss," those type of things, right? I mean, it's like, no, wait a second, that goes beyond customer service. It wasn't just a
Mhm.
cancellation of the subscription. It was, "Oh my God, here's a human being, somebody that I thrive on for my survival as a business. They're
Yeah.
having a moment. I'm going to acknowledge their moment," which is Chewie isn't the main character, that person is, but in return, it reflects back on the company.
Yeah. I and the first thing that came to mind was I will bet you, because this happens to every single business, you're not going to be perfect from the start. You try and plan for everything. I suspect that was a hard lesson early on when they were a startup. I bet you
Oh,
they did
yeah.
the typical, because and we've talked about this before, so much of the advice and instruction and all this stuff online is a very much a one size fits all. And then you're setting up the business that says, this is how you reclaim lost customers and stuff. And you follow that blindly. And then someone wrote back and said, yeah, my dog died. Like, why are you sending me this? And that was likely like, oh my God, we have to make a change. We have to make a change in our business, and we cannot just follow this template.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not all publicity is great publicity. You start talking about,
Mhm.
pet deaths. That's not great for you, especially if you're in the pet business.
No.
Right? You
Yeah,
have to be the
exactly.
empathetic person. Like you lost a member of your family, right? And I
Yeah.
want to acknowledge that. I want to be part of it with you, right? Because you're probably going to get another pet.
Well,
Once
yeah,
you come back
very
to,
likely. Yeah.
so you know who screwed it up, and I was there, not as an employee. I was there as a contractor for Wells Fargo when they screwed that up. When they stopped looking at people as people, they're NPCs. The company did.
Mhm.
Do you remember what I'm talking about with the?
No.
All right, so 2017, 18, maybe it was 16, 17, somewhere in there. Wells Fargo got into trouble for opening bank accounts in their customers' names. Just opening bank accounts in their customers' names. Right? Think about
Hmm.
that. All of a sudden, you got 3 or 4 different accounts under Blaine Birch that you don't know about. Right?
Yeah.
And all of these bank accounts had like 20 to $30 in them, something like that. Not a lot of money. Uh, and people started saying, "Hey, what are these accounts? What is this? How come this is on my deal? Where's this money
Yeah.
coming from?" Well, the sales team had a quota to open so many accounts per month, per quarter, whatever it was. And when they didn't meet their quota, rather than losing their job, they would take money out of their own pocket, the employees. This became a culture at Wells Fargo. Take money out of their own pocket in some
Yeah.
cases and put it into an account in your name,
I hadn't heard of that. That's
just so they had new accounts. Now,
bizarre.
yeah, there's, there was, I don't know, it's millions, right, of dollars that this happened because it was such a sales focused culture that in order to retain people or keep your job, you did this and it became part of the thing. You just, hey,
Yeah.
nobody cares. Who's going to complain that I put $25 in an account for you, but I kept my job? I'm like going, well, first of all, why aren't we asking the fact that why are the quotas to where I feel like I have to do that, or the penalties for not hitting quota? I feel like I got to do that. And then B, if it was because of the culture and a lot of people did it, why didn't it stop sooner? So there's two of these things, but they didn't look at their
Yeah.
customers as customers anymore. They looked at them as just numbers in a bank account, and it was they thought they were the only people being harmed.
Oh, that's so
It's weird.
that
It was the weirdest thing ever. Yeah.
very weird, and it's also like that. Well, it's fraud, right? Like that's
And
and
it
to a
wasn't just
large amount.
yeah. A lot of it was employees' money, but some of it was just fraud, where they would transfer out of one account to another, like your account from account 1234 to 1235, and they would just transfer money. Some of it was just straight up fraud.
Yeah, but even if they're putting money in and that, like actually opening a bank account under someone else's name,
Mm-hmm.
that would be fraud. Like, because people would be actually responsible for that bank account, right? So
Right.
it's like that to me is like an incredible high level of fraud where a lot of people could go to jail, I imagine, for doing that. And to have that become part of your culture is so broken.
Yeah, but the reason I brought that up is that that person that's doing it or that company that's doing it no longer looks at the customer as a person anymore.
Yeah.
That's just hey, I'm just playing this game, and we're going to shift it over here, shift it over there. You're just making moves without acknowledging that another person is impacted. They don't exist. That's that non-player character.
Yeah. And I think putting the customer at the center and making them the main, the kind of the main character is not about filming your customers and throwing them on your social media channel and like that. It's still about the company. It's the culture about understanding your customer, understanding the problems and serving them. Feels very much like the long game, but it's the right game.
Yeah. Well, what about those ones? I mean, we talked about this where somebody gets filmed in the gym and is mad that the person next to him is in the shot. Right? Who's the main? I mean, you're trying to be the main character in your gym workout show or whatever you're trying to do,
Mhm.
and mad that a non-playable character walked into your shot, even though that guy pays for a membership, pays for the
Yeah.
same right to be in the same public space as you. I mean, who's right at that point in time? I mean, that's the syndrome
Yeah.
I'm talking about. You think it's you and you're ignoring everybody else's authority to be there.
Yeah, authority would be there, but I know we've had this conversation before, and I just feel like there's a bit more of a dividing line between what I think is public and what's semi-private, right? Like, if someone can kick you out of the place, is that a public place? Like, because someone could actually say, "Yeah, we're revoking your membership. Out, you're out." You go into a restaurant, no shoes, no shirt, no service, you're out. Like, if you can get kicked out of a place, it feels like, yeah, they could put, they have the right to say, yeah, no cameras in here or no recording in here. Or you can, right? But I think there's that's a little different than you're walking down the street where, oh, that's public space. They can't, it's like a business owner or whatever can't kick you out of it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, as a police officer, I know we've talked about this. It's the expectation of privacy. If you're driving in your car or sitting in your car in a parking lot and doing something weird or illegal, and I walk by your car and I just kind of look down and you're there doing something weird or illegal, you don't have an expectation of privacy. I'm not invading your privacy because I'm in the
Yeah.
same space. We're both out in public. I'm just not doing the weird thing. Or maybe I
Yeah.
am.
No,
Maybe I'm doing the weirder thing.
it's very true, but it's also if you basically if you pay to get access to a place or then it feels like it's a whole different set of rules because there would be an expectation of privacy. Like you think of people in a restaurant and you're a celebrity, I think they would be saying, okay, out on the street, paparazzi can follow me around, take pictures. There's nothing I can do. As soon as I walk through the front door of an establishment and I'm a customer there, I should be able to expect that they're not going to let the paparazzi come in and sit there right by my table and take pictures of me. I think there's an expectation that it's like, no, it ends at the street. I came in here. I'm a paying customer. You're not a paying customer. You're not, like, so I think there's a gray area. And then of course you get to the other side where it's like, okay, that's no longer even gray. But, and I think the reason that becomes important is because so many people are obsessed with this, being this, the center of attention all the time, everywhere, and filming everything all the time. There's a point where it's like, yeah, but do I have to be in my house with all of my drapes closed? And can you still come in, walk in my front door,
Yep.
right?
But what if I'm in Scottsdale at a restaurant and Blaine from the Mike and Blaine show comes in and I'm there, I'm a paying customer. Blaine comes in, he's a paying customer. I'm like, oh my God, there's Blaine. And I take a picture of you.
Yeah, but
Right?
then
We're both paying
that's
customers, right? In the same place. There's no expectation of privacy based on what you do.
but those rules can be set by the establishment. So that if the establishment says, no, you're offside.
How many times you ever been into a place where they have a set of rules saying you can't do these things?
I'm not a big enough celebrity to go to those places. I
Yeah.
probably don't have enough money.
And Courtney would tell you that in retail, nobody reads signs anyway.
No, but I'm pretty sure if you're at like the crazy expensive, exclusive Michelin star restaurant, you aren't pulling out your camera. And they do have rules about that because they cater primarily to, or a lot of times probably to celebrities or whatever. They likely do have a rule and they will enforce it. They won't at probably the bar down the street. No, they're not, but I think there is they're allowed to sort of set those rules. And I think what they do is they set the rules based on their clientele. And if it's like my clientele are the ones that always like to take a picture of their dinner, I'm not setting the rule. But if my clientele are all like tend to be high-end celebrities and that, we are going to have a rule that you can't do that.
I think those type of places also have private dining areas. Like I was in New York right after COVID. Went to a place with a group of folks. There's 8 or 10 of us. A few of them are actually pretty well known, and we get escorted through the restaurant to a private room. Got our own wait staff. The chef and the owner comes back and talks to us. I mean, I think it's a whole different experience if your restaurant is set up for that. So if you think that you don't want to be bothered, you should go to a restaurant that's set up for that. Because I don't think McDonald's is. I don't think McDonald's is. I don't think Applebee's probably.
But I think even that with my expectation is if I'm going to McDonald's, no, I have zero expectation. There's be 20 people in there with their phones filming everything. I'm like, well, yeah, you're eating the same, in whatever as I am. But if I go to a really nice restaurant, and I like, there's sort of a place and time and everything. I'm not concerned. People are, taking pictures at their dinner and stuff like that. But I also think there's an expectation they're not going to stand up and be, like you said, the star in their own show and disrupt everybody's dinner because they've got their camera out and they're yelling into it as I'm now eating dinner at yeah, okay, shut the hell up. Right. So there's levels. I think there's levels of expectation. And like I said, I'm sure there's some places where it's like, there's no cameras in here. You keep those cameras in your pocket, right?
Yeah, I think I felt that way, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago when people would say, "Hey, I'm here doing this thing now," and I didn't like it. I don't like to do a lot of that. I probably did a little bit of that myself. If you go back and go, Mike, you're saying this then, and you've done these 5 things. I probably did it because people said that's what you have to do to
That's
actually
what you do.
Yeah. So I probably did some of it, and but I didn't like it. I don't do a lot of it because I don't like it.
Same here. And I think that's where it's polarized. That's what I was saying. Like it seems like they're either center of attention or trying to not be the center of attention. And I think the culture is going further and further apart. And that's where I think, like I said, the expectation, your expectations for, I don't know if it's half or maybe maybe it's well over half are going enough.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be filmed all the time, recorded all the time. And I know, like, I'm sure you've seen this. You've seen people that are influencers, and they're out there and they're dressed up and they're making faces and taking pictures of themselves. And you look and go, oh, if only their followers could see from the view I see, they would not be following them anymore, because the angle they take and everything looks so perfect. But from the outside, you're looking in, it's like, man, that looks ridiculous. Like, this is, like, you look like a loser, right? Like, it's just such a different, different angle of the same thing.
I've even had where people tell me, I saw so-and-so influencer doing their thing on this reel, and they'll show me the reel. I was there when they did that reel. I'm like, okay, what happened? I was just there. What does that mean?
It's so bizarre.
What does that mean? What am I supposed to draw from that? Right. So, I mean, I think you got to realize that, in your story, you're not the main character in everybody else's story. And that's what that tells me. I was there when that person did that. Yeah. You were the main character in your story while their story was happening.
Yeah.
And you weren't even a part of their story. You were like an extra on the set.
I'm going to bring up I'm going to bring up a little bit of BS here, but this is a star in your own show and being a massive failure at doing it. So I installed a camera outside our house, like just a Ring cam. And it's always been outside. I had a different place for it, but I'm like, I'm going to have to put it in the wall now. Right. And we have stucco and all of that. So immediately, me being me, I'm like, I'm going to need anchors, but stucco's different. I'm like, okay, what is the right way? What is the right anchor? Because I'm nerding out on it to make sure that I would have this base plate affixed to the house. It's not going to move, and I can put the camera on. So I go and I do a search online, and I'm like, okay, affixing this thing to stucco, blah, blah, blah. And I get to a YouTube video. And this guy says, I'm going to show you how to hang this camera, same camera, onto the stucco, onto the side of the house, and do it properly. And I'm like, this is going to be interesting. And then the guy pulls the pack out and he says, and here are these really crappy anchors and these crappy little screws that they give you with the camera. And I'm like, exactly. I'm just edge of seat. So what kind of anchor did you buy? He used the crappy ones. He installed them with these shitty ones. And you could see as he's trying to install the camera, it's wobbling. And I'm yelling at him like, you moron, I could find better anchors. Like, I know that those aren't going to work. And he literally used them. And then he's like,
video.
he literally did it completely wrong, did not go get good anchors, used the crappy ones. You could tell that's going to fall off the house on its own with just a light wind. And I looked at him and went, then he asked people to follow me for more, like amazing story. I'm like, you did it completely wrong. Like you absolutely screwed up. So this guy's trying to be the center of attention, trying to go like, I am the star, follow me. And I'm like, follow you for what? The absolute worst home renovating tips you can get. So I had to dig around, and I followed my gut. I found some good anchors. I put them in. That sucker ain't moving. but like, I'm not doing a video on that, but I know more than that guy does. The first time I did it, it was embarrassing watching it.
Man, you know what's funny is that, hey, that's a terrible main character. That would be like the worst movie I ever saw. If you ever go see a movie, or not see a movie, if you ever want to go watch a movie, you're like going, what the hell am I watching? I went through this phase where Steve Buscemi,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I just like everything this guy does. He's like a weird little character, but whatever he does, I love it. I mean, I love watching him. And so I'm like, what other movies has he done? And there was this one called Trees Lounge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody goes, well, what? All right, if you want to see the worst movie in the world, but you're like glued to it, you're like going, damn, this has got to get better. This is going to get better. No, it never gets better. every Trees Lounge is about this guy where everything in his life is bad and it never ever gets better. It just starts like he's in trouble to begin with, and it just gets to be more and more and more and more trouble all the way through the end of the movie. There's never like a high point. Everything he does, he makes the wrong decision. He's with the wrong person. He does the wrong thing. He's in the wrong spot. Doesn't matter. I'm like, damn, this is the worst movie ever. And 30 years later, I'll say 20 years later, I'm still talking about it.
Yeah. Well, because it literally breaks the entire story arc, the story arc that people follow, where you have to end usually triumphant, or there's different models, but that's just straight downhill. There's no redeeming quality. I know that when my wife and I first got married, this is going back, almost 30 years. She was working in television, and a friend of hers was the Warner rep in town as well. And so she would get movie tickets and some concert tickets and stuff like every week, but the movie tickets were relentless. And so we would get free tickets like maybe a couple times a week, and you would go see the sneak preview of the movie. And what we found out was how many movies nobody goes to, and how many movies they might debut on a Friday night and they're out of theaters by like Monday because they're so crappy.
Yeah.
We saw so many truly awful movies that you wouldn't, because no one knows about them because they died immediately. We got to the point where we always had friends going with us because we had so many tickets all the time. And we got to the point where literally we would be like 5 minutes into the movie and I'd be like, nope.
Yep.
My buddy and I'd stand up and we're like, I get, because my wife and her friend would never leave. They would hang in and just like, nope, we got free tickets. We're watching the whole show. And we'd be like, we're going next door to the bar. And we would just get up and the whole row would stand up and we would work our way out. There's probably 30 movies that we made 5 minutes into the movie. And we're like, nope, we're out. We're gone.
What's funny is that the stats on that, there's a mathematical formula that you have to get to the point in 9 minutes in a movie. 9 minutes.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, people flip channels, they move, they go to the bar next door.
Oh yeah, because life's too short. We're out.
Yeah.
It's just no, it was awful. There were some truly awful movies, because we'd always ask, hey, did it get any better? No, it didn't get any better.
Right, so here's what I'm thinking. I think if you're a company, right, the business part of this, that you can't be the main character. I think you need to make your customer the main character.
Yeah. And when you make your customer the main character, again, it's not about you. It's not about making them the main character to speak for you, to market for you. Make them the main character in success. Make them completely successful, obsess over their success. And you know what? Everything else is likely to fall into place then.
There you go. Hey, Mike and Blaine, we got 231 of these or something like that. So, a whole bunch of them. I got an email today. Somebody said they're quitting their podcast after 73. Am I going, A, you're a quitter. B, you're a baby quitter. That's just a baby podcast. One time.
Exactly.
Right. So I think we're getting up there. So we're doing good.
Yeah, we're doing good. We'll make, I don't know if my math's right. We will make 300 before the end of the year easily.
I'm
easy. Pretty sure.
I would think.
Was close. And it'll be a really nice big celebration. And again, please like, subscribe, follow. We always forget to ask, but we are getting more and more views, more and more traction. Our shorts are doing just killing it. So please like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends about us. And make sure you tune in next week for next week's gripping episode on whatever Mike thinks we're going to talk about.
Whatever the trending topic of the week is.
The trending topic of the week that we will wait till the day of to make sure it's super trending.
There you go.
Tune in.
There you go.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.